Hello and good evening. This is the 25th of September. It's a Saturday. September is the time when the heads of states and heads of government speak at the United Nations General Assembly. This is the time that the world leaders make a beeline for New York. This time, the Pakistan's Prime Minister spoke to the UN General Assembly virtually. He made a strong case for engaging with the Taliban. In his opinion, if the Taliban are not engaged with, or if they are not helped at this critical time in their national lives, Taliban, Afghanistan could fall prey to chaos and anarchy. And he's speaking from experience. We know when the Soviets withdrew from Afghanistan, the Americans also left the Afghan warlords to their own devices so that they can fight for the spoils of war. So, what the Prime Minister of Pakistan was saying made eminent sense. He also spoke about the uh, barbarities which are being perpetrated in occupied Jammu and Kashmir. He said that the BJP, RSS, fascist uh, ensemble is doing what the world should take notice of. And this obviously speaks of double standards, that the world is not taking cognizance of the fact that human rights are being violated in Kashmir and also in Assam. Uh, Meanwhile, the Afghan Taliban government has not been allowed to uh, make an entry in the United Nations. Their case is still pending with the Credentials Committee, and it will take them time to decide whether they should allow the Afghan Taliban regime to be represented at the United Nations. Meanwhile, the remnants of Ashraf Ghani's government are still occupying the seat in New York. So the question is, how long can the world ignore the ground realities? Pakistan is worried for the sake of Afghanistan. It wants the world to not forget that this region has been left to become a haven for terrorists and non-state actors. So this should not happen again. Meanwhile, Mr. Modi, the Prime Minister of India, has been granted an audience with the American president. Uh, President Biden is trying to soften the blow that he has struck with by forcing the Australians to cancel the French mega submarine deal. A new military bloc has been unveiled, which is called AUKUS. That is the three English-speaking countries: Australia, UK, and the US. And the Americans have promised the Australians that they would provide them with nuclear submarines. So this will be quite a departure from the norms. Australia is not a nuclear weapon state. Although one understands that powered submarines, does not necessarily mean that they would be carrying nuclear missiles also. But it's only a matter of time. It's not difficult to configure them for nuclear weapon platforms. President Biden is trying to soften the blow. He has called all the members of the Quad. He wants to give an impression that the Quad, the other bloc which he had uh, 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 made to contain China, which includes, besides Australia and the US, Japan and India. So he has invited the Quad also. Uh, President Biden is also trying to placate the French. French are very, very mad. They are calling it a stab in the back. Macron has actually declined calls from the White House. But being a NATO ally and understanding that the United States of America is still the most powerful country, militarily the most powerful country in the world, they cannot long remain upset or annoyed with the United States. Here I would like to bring up an issue which Pakistan faced in 1974 after the Indians carried out the nuclear tests, the so-called peaceful nuclear tests. uh, there were bans imposed not only in India but also in Pakistan. But Pakistan suffered because of India. And at that point in time, Pakistan had a deal with France about a nuclear reprocessing plant. And this was under international safeguards. But under American pressure, the French withdrew from this deal, and as a result, Pakistan had to fabricate its own fuel for its first nuclear power plant, Canoop in Karachi. Blessing in disguise, Pakistan was able to do it. The Canoop has already completed its shelf life, but it's still running on extended life. So the French had already played into the hands of the Americans once, and now they've got a taste of their own medicine. So this happens in the world, and these are big weapon producing countries, and sometimes their deals get cancelled. But I can understand that getting a deal of $50 billion cancelled is a big shock to the French. And this deal was finalized in 2016. So after 6 years, the deal has been cancelled. So I can understand the pain that the French must be feeling right at the moment. Something akin to what Pakistan felt in 1974 for no fault of its. It was denied nuclear technology. So that's what is happening in the world. The battle lines are being redrawn. The Americans have gone into Cold War mindset. They, instead of the Soviet Union, they are now trying to contain China. There are other power blocks emerging, which notably has China and Russia on one side, and other countries might also join them. So that's all from my side. I'll be looking forward to your comments. Thank you very much for listening to me.